members of Congress, representatives of the American people across all states, territories, cities.
For decades, the world believed the greatest battle inside Britain's monarchy had already been fought, that the scars of the past had finally settled beneath the polished floors of Buckingham Palace, and that King Charles III and Queen Camilla had quietly written the final chapter of a love story that survived scandal, public fury, and nearly half a century of pressure. But according to royal commentators, something happened behind palace walls that may have changed everything, and at the center of that storm stood only one man: Prince William. Because when palace insiders started whispering that King Charles III had begun making deeply personal decisions about the future of his private legacy, royal watchers did not ask whether money was involved. Royal watchers asked something far more unsettling: who convinced King Charles III that the future of the monarchy could no longer afford emotional loyalty over institutional survival? And if that question sounds dramatic, wait until you hear where those whispers lead. For years, Queen Camilla appeared untouchable inside the modern British royal family, standing beside King Charles III through coronations, diplomatic tours, and moments that seemed to confirm that the long and painful road toward public acceptance had finally reached its destination. Yet royal correspondents now claim that sometime behind closed doors, away from cameras, away from official statements, and away from carefully managed headlines, conversations began that were never supposed to leave the room. And according to multiple commentators, the name appearing most often in those conversations was not Queen Camilla. It was Prince William, the future king. Now ask yourself something. If Prince William truly believes the monarchy must enter a new era, if Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, are already preparing for a very different kind of royal future, then what happens when tradition collides with power, when loyalty collides with legacy, and when family becomes secondary to the institution itself? Does blood matter more? Or does the crown always win? According to palace observers, tension did not begin with one argument, one meeting, or one explosive confrontation. Reports suggest this story began much earlier, when Prince William quietly accelerated efforts to modernize the monarchy, while Catherine, Princess of Wales, continued strengthening public trust with every carefully managed appearance, and while King Charles III found himself increasingly caught between personal history and institutional pressure. And somewhere inside that growing divide, royal insiders claim Queen Camilla may have discovered that proximity to the throne does not always guarantee influence over the future. But here is where this royal drama becomes impossible to ignore, because sources close to royal commentary circles now suggest that Prince William was no longer simply waiting to inherit the crown. Prince William may already have begun shaping the monarchy in ways the public has barely noticed. And if that is true, then every private meeting, every rewritten document, every silent palace decision suddenly carries an entirely different meaning. And before we uncover what allegedly happened in the meeting that changed King Charles III forever, take a second to tell me this. If you were Prince William, the future king, would you protect family? Or would you protect the crown? And if you want deeply researched royal stories, hidden palace dynamics, and the royal drama nobody else connects quite like this, subscribe now. Because what happened next did not just shock palace insiders. What happened next may have redefined the future of the monarchy itself. What made the whispers inside Buckingham Palace so unsettling was not simply that palace insiders believed something had changed around King Charles III, and it was not simply that senior royal commentators began describing an atmosphere of unusual caution around Queen Camilla, but that multiple royal analysts started pointing toward one specific period in late 2025, a period when Prince William, the future king, reportedly intensified private conversations about what the monarchy would look like after King Charles III. And according to those reports, those conversations were no longer theoretical, because Prince William was no longer preparing for someday. Prince William was preparing for now. Royal commentators claim that by the middle of 2025, Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, had quietly begun presenting something far more powerful than popularity, because while crowds continued cheering for Catherine, Princess of Wales, and while public trust around Prince William continued rising, palace insiders allegedly noticed something deeper happening behind official engagements. Authority was shifting, influence was consolidating, and decisions that once flowed naturally through King Charles III increasingly began carrying the unmistakable strategic fingerprints of Prince William. Now think about that for a moment, because if Prince William, the future king, was already shaping policy before wearing the crown, then what exactly was happening behind those closed doors, and more importantly, who inside the royal family stood in the way of that vision? Was this modernization? Or was this the quiet beginning of a royal power transfer? Reports suggest the first real fault line emerged over reputation, not inheritance, not money, and not titles, because according to several royal commentators, Prince William had become increasingly determined to distance the monarchy from any relationship, friendship, or association that could reopen old controversies, no matter how personal those relationships might be. And that is where royal analysts claim tension began building between Prince William and Queen Camilla, because while Queen Camilla represented history, loyalty, and decades of personal connection, Prince William represented optics, institutional discipline, and a monarchy designed for survival in a very different media age. And if you were in that position, if you were Prince William, the future king of the monarchy, would you preserve relationships built over decades? Or would you cut emotional ties to protect the institution your children may one day inherit? What makes this story even more fascinating is what reportedly happened next, because palace observers claim the concerns eventually moved beyond social relationships and into something far more sensitive: commercial influence, private access, and the dangerous perception that proximity to the crown could create opportunities no outsider should ever assume existed. According to royal commentary, certain discussions involving individuals connected to Queen Camilla allegedly began raising eyebrows among senior advisors. And while no public evidence has confirmed wrongdoing, reports suggest Prince William viewed even the appearance of blurred boundaries as a risk the modern monarchy could no longer tolerate. That is when, according to palace speculation, Prince William requested a private conversation with King Charles III, not as a son seeking approval, but as the future king presenting the kind of evidence, concern, and strategic warning that no monarch can casually dismiss. Royal insiders claim that the meeting was calm, methodical, and almost unsettlingly controlled, because King Charles III reportedly asked detailed questions, requested documentation, and then, according to commentators, withdrew into several days of private reflection. And here's the question that continues haunting royal watchers. What exactly did Prince William show King Charles III during that meeting that made palace staff suddenly notice lawyers appearing with unusual frequency, confidential schedules tightening, and private appointments becoming harder to track? Because from that moment forward, reports suggest something changed in King Charles III, not publicly, not during state ceremonies, and not beside Queen Camilla in front of cameras, but privately, strategically, and with a kind of quiet precision that only someone thinking about legacy can display. Royal commentators now believe that whatever Prince William said during that meeting may have become the moment when family stopped being the priority, and the institution became everything. And just when palace insiders believed the tension could still be managed quietly, something happened on a Thursday morning that reportedly left even experienced royal staff searching for words. Because according to sources, that was the day Queen Camilla allegedly learned what King Charles III had already decided. Before we reveal what happened inside that palace corridor, subscribe now if you enjoy deeply researched royal stories, because the next chapter does not just involve heartbreak, power, or legacy. The next chapter may reveal the moment Queen Camilla realized that even standing beside a king does not always guarantee a secure future. By the time the winter air settled over Buckingham Palace in early 2026, royal commentators were already noticing something that felt almost impossible to explain, because although King Charles III continued appearing exactly as expected, smiling during public engagements, greeting diplomats, standing beside Queen Camilla with the practiced confidence of a monarch who understood the power of appearances, insiders now claim that behind palace walls an entirely different reality had begun unfolding, and according to multiple royal observers, the people who worked closest to King Charles III could sense that something deeply personal had already been decided long before anyone outside that inner circle knew what was coming. What made those whispers so unsettling was not raised voices, emotional confrontations, or dramatic scenes worthy of tabloid headlines, because according to palace commentators, the most powerful royal decisions rarely arrive with visible chaos. The most powerful royal decisions arrive in silence, in rewritten schedules, in legal appointments that appear on private calendars, and in meetings that suddenly become unavailable even to senior aides. And according to royal analysts, that exact pattern began surrounding King Charles III during the final weeks of January. Now ask yourself something, because this question changes the way you see everything that follows. When a king begins moving quietly, when a monarch who built an entire life around emotional loyalty suddenly becomes methodical, distant, and legally precise, is that caution? Or is that the sign that a decision has already become irreversible? Reports suggest the answer arrived on what multiple commentators describe as an ordinary Thursday morning, although palace insiders now insist that nothing about that Thursday was ordinary. According to those reports, Queen Camilla entered the day expecting routine meetings, familiar staff briefings, and another carefully managed schedule representing the public stability of the modern British royal family. But somewhere between private corridors, closed apartments, and conversations that were never intended to leave palace walls, Royal commentators claim Queen Camilla was informed that King Charles III had already finalized deeply personal decisions regarding his private legacy. And according to sources cited by royal commentators, the most shocking part was not the content of the decision itself. The most shocking part was timing, because by the moment Queen Camilla allegedly learned what had been done, the legal process was reportedly complete, advisors had already been consulted, documents had already been reviewed, and whatever opportunity once existed for influence, persuasion, or emotional appeal may already have disappeared. Imagine standing inside the palace you fought decades to enter, standing beside the king you defended through scandal, public criticism, and relentless media scrutiny, only to realize that a future you quietly believed was secure may already have changed without your participation. What would your first reaction be? Anger, disbelief, confrontation, or complete silence? Royal commentators claim Queen Camilla chose silence, and according to multiple accounts from palace observers, that silence was what unsettled staff more than anything else. There were no dramatic calls across corridors, no visible confrontation, no emergency meetings with advisors, and no public signs that anything inside the marriage of King Charles III and Queen Camilla had shifted. Instead, reports suggest something colder happened. The atmosphere changed. One palace commentator described that morning as controlled stillness. And while that phrase remains unverified, it continues appearing across royal discussion circles because according to those accounts, members of staff allegedly felt tension before understanding its source. Doors remained closed longer than usual, private assistants reportedly lowered their voices, and routine movement through certain palace corridors allegedly became unusually cautious. And when long-serving palace staff start changing behavior without formal instruction, royal historians will tell you that something significant may already have happened. But this is where the story becomes even more personal, because reports suggest that after processing what Queen Camilla had allegedly learned, the first private outreach may not have gone to lawyers, advisors, or institutional allies. Royal commentators now claim that Queen Camilla instead reached out to family, and according to those reports, private meetings were arranged that same day, meetings that reportedly lasted for hours behind closed doors with no staff permitted inside. And here is the question royal watchers cannot stop asking. Was Queen Camilla grieving a financial decision? Or was Queen Camilla confronting something much more painful, the realization that King Charles III may have chosen institutional legacy over personal history? Because according to royal analysts, this was never simply about private wealth, private estates, or private collections. This was about symbolism. This was about what it means when King Charles III, a monarch who spent decades fighting for public acceptance of Queen Camilla, allegedly draws a line between emotional partnership and institutional succession. And if that interpretation is accurate, then the role of Prince William becomes impossible to ignore, because every major royal commentator now returns to the same question. Did Prince William, the future king, simply present concerns? Or did Prince William fundamentally reshape how King Charles III sees the final chapter of his reign? And if Prince William is already influencing decisions of this magnitude before wearing the crown, then what happens when Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, officially inherit the full machinery of the monarchy? What happens to relationships built under the old system? What happens to influence once protected by history? Because what happened after that Thursday did not calm palace tensions. According to commentators, what happened after that Thursday may have quietly confirmed that the era of King Charles III is already beginning to overlap with the era of Prince William. And before we uncover what insiders claim King Charles III actually chose to preserve, what reportedly remained untouched, and what that reveals about the future of British royal family, make sure you subscribe now, because the next chapter is not about what Queen Camilla lost. The next chapter may reveal what Prince William is quietly building. If the events described by royal commentators were already dramatic enough to shake confidence inside Buckingham Palace, what happened next may have revealed something even more significant than any private document, because according to palace observers, the real story was never about what King Charles III allegedly changed, and the real story was never simply about what Queen Camilla may have expected. The real story was about what King Charles III deliberately chose to protect, what King Charles III allegedly chose to redirect, and why almost every road in this unfolding royal drama continued leading back to one name: Prince William, the future king. Because when royal analysts began piecing together the private decisions reportedly made by King Charles III, one pattern immediately became impossible to ignore. Reports suggest King Charles III did not attempt to dismantle the public role of Queen Camilla, did not publicly distance himself from Queen Camilla during state engagements, and did not allow any visible fracture to appear in front of cameras. Instead, royal commentators claim King Charles III may have drawn something far more precise. A line between public duty and private legacy, a line between the queen standing beside the throne and the woman who may once have believed that history guaranteed security. And if that interpretation is even partially accurate, then ask yourself something that royal historians have debated for centuries. When monarchs protect appearances while quietly rewriting private realities, is that emotional cruelty? Or is that what survival inside the monarchy has always required? According to commentators familiar with royal estate history, one of the most emotionally charged symbols in this story may not be a title, a document, or even a financial portfolio. Royal observers now point toward Highgrove House, the private retreat long associated with King Charles III, a place cultivated over decades, a place transformed through personal vision, and a place many believed represented not only private comfort but emotional continuity. Yet reports now suggest that if private legacy planning has indeed shifted, then Highgrove House may represent something entirely different. Not the closing chapter of Queen Camilla, but the opening chapter of Prince William. And suddenly the story stops feeling personal and starts feeling strategic. Because royal commentators increasingly point toward a broader pattern that began years earlier, a pattern that became visible when Prince William inherited leadership responsibilities connected to the Duchy of Cornwall, a moment that many casual observers treated as ceremonial, while palace analysts viewed it as something far more revealing. Reports suggest that once Prince William assumed those responsibilities, staffing decisions quietly changed, trusted circles evolved, financial oversight became tighter, and the future king began surrounding himself not with inherited loyalties, but with people aligned with the long-term vision of Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales. Now ask yourself this. If Prince William has already demonstrated a willingness to reshape structures before becoming king, what exactly will the monarchy look like once Prince William no longer needs anyone's permission? And that is where Catherine, Princess of Wales, known globally as Kate Middleton, becomes impossible to ignore, because according to royal analysts, the rise of Catherine, Princess of Wales is not simply about public affection, elegant appearances, or carefully managed media moments. Royal commentators increasingly describe Catherine, Princess of Wales, as institutional stability, a symbol of trust during a period when the monarchy continues facing pressure from modern media, global scrutiny, and family controversies involving figures such as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. And this is where the narrative becomes even more fascinating, because some commentators now believe that every private decision allegedly made by King Charles III may not only be about the present. Those decisions may be about creating the cleanest possible runway for Prince William, for Kate Middleton, for the Princess of Wales, and for a monarchy designed to survive another generation without the baggage of unresolved loyalties. But if that is true, then another uncomfortable question emerges. Where does that leave Queen Camilla? Because according to royal commentators, the most painful part of institutional change is rarely public humiliation. The most painful part of institutional change is discovering that your title remains, your public role remains, your invitations remain, your schedule remains, but your influence quietly begins moving elsewhere. And if reports from palace circles are accurate, some insiders now believe Queen Camilla may already be feeling exactly that shift. Imagine spending decades fighting to be accepted by the monarchy, standing beside King Charles III through public hostility, scandal, and relentless scrutiny, only to realize that the institution you finally entered may already be preparing for a future where your presence is respected, but no longer central. Does that sound like betrayal? Or does that sound like the monarchy doing exactly what the monarchy has always done? Royal historians would tell you that the crown rarely moves with noise, and palace commentators now believe that every silent adjustment surrounding Prince William points toward one unavoidable conclusion. The transition may already be underway. And if Prince William, the future king, is already shaping private decisions, influencing institutional priorities, and building the era of Catherine, Princess of Wales long before Coronation Day, then what happens when that day finally arrives? What happens to figures connected to the previous chapter? What happens to people whose influence was built under King Charles III, but may not fit the vision of Prince William? Subscribe now if you enjoy deeply researched royal stories, because the final chapter is not about what may already have changed behind palace walls. The final chapter may reveal whether Queen Camilla is facing a quiet transition, or a royal future nobody inside the monarchy ever expected. And just when royal commentators believed the private tensions surrounding King Charles III, Queen Camilla, and Prince William had already revealed everything it could possibly reveal, palace observers began focusing on something even more powerful than legal documents, private meetings, or whispered conversations inside Buckingham Palace. because according to those who study royal transitions for a living, the true meaning of any royal decision is never found in the moment itself. The true meaning is found in what that decision makes possible next. And if the reports, commentary, and palace speculation surrounding these events carry even a fraction of truth, then what happened behind those closed doors may not have been the end of one royal chapter at all. It may have been the quiet beginning of an entirely different monarchy. Because when royal historians step back from emotion, step back from headlines, and step back from the personal pain that stories like this naturally create, one pattern becomes increasingly difficult to ignore. Every major move allegedly connected to King Charles III appears to point in the same direction, every private adjustment appears to align with the same strategic outcome, and every silent palace shift seems to strengthen the same emerging reality. The era of Prince William, the future king, may not be approaching slowly. The era of Prince William may already be unfolding in real time. And if that idea sounds dramatic, ask yourself something that cuts deeper than gossip, deeper than scandal, and deeper than tabloid headlines. When a future king begins shaping structures before wearing the crown, when advisors begin aligning around a new center of influence, and when even long-standing relationships appear vulnerable to institutional review, is that ambition? Or is that leadership? Royal commentators increasingly point toward the growing influence of Catherine, Princess of Wales, globally recognized as Kate Middleton, because while much public attention remains focused on fashion, public appearances, and carefully photographed moments, palace analysts claim the real importance of Catherine, Princess of Wales, lies somewhere far deeper. Reports suggest that inside the modern British royal family, Kate Middleton has increasingly become associated with continuity, discipline, trust, and the kind of public confidence every monarchy needs during periods of uncertainty. And if Prince William represents institutional direction, many royal observers now believe Catherine, Princess of Wales, represents institutional stability. Now think carefully about what that means, because if Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, are already being viewed as the emotional and strategic center of the monarchy, then what happens to everyone connected to older alliances, older loyalties, and older compromises built during the reign of King Charles III? And that question becomes even more uncomfortable when names like Prince Harry and Meghan Markle continue shaping global conversations around the monarchy, because according to royal analysts, every controversy involving Prince Harry and Meghan Markle has only increased the urgency behind Prince William's reported determination to build a tighter, leaner, and more carefully protected royal institution. Reports suggest that the future king no longer sees reputation as something repaired after damage. Reports suggest Prince William sees reputation as something protected before damage ever happens. And if that philosophy is now influencing decisions made by King Charles III, then ask yourself another question. Did Prince William simply inherit the monarchy? Or is Prince William actively redesigning the monarchy before the crown officially changes hands? Royal historians would remind us that the British crown has never survived by sentiment alone. The crown survived abdications, scandals, political crises, wars, public backlash, generational conflict, and global scrutiny because every generation eventually faced one brutal question: protect people or protect the institution. And according to the commentary surrounding this story, King Charles III may now be facing exactly that same question, possibly influenced by the arguments, concerns, and strategic warnings presented by Prince William. And if those reports are accurate, then perhaps the most painful realization for Queen Camilla is not financial, legal, or symbolic at all. Perhaps the most painful realization is discovering that acceptance inside the monarchy is never permanent, influence inside the monarchy is never guaranteed, and even a queen standing beside a king may eventually discover that the institution always thinks in generations, never in emotions. So let me ask you something, and I genuinely want your answer in the comments. If you were Prince William, the future king, would you protect personal loyalty? Or would you protect the future of the monarchy, even if that decision hurt people closest to the crown? And if you were King Charles III, would legacy matter more than love? Because whether these reports ultimately prove completely accurate, partially true, or simply another example of how palace secrecy fuels royal fascination, one truth remains impossible to ignore. Something inside the monarchy feels different. The center of gravity appears to be shifting. And more royal commentators than ever now believe that the transition from King Charles III to Prince William may already be happening in ways the public has only begun to notice. And perhaps the most extraordinary part of all is this. While the cameras still follow King Charles III, while the headlines still track Queen Camilla, while debates still rage around Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the future may already belong to Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales. Quietly, strategically, and perhaps far sooner than anyone expected. If you enjoyed this deep royal analysis, subscribe for more high-retention royal stories, palace secrets, and monarchy breakdowns that connect the dots others miss, and tell me in the comments. Is Prince William saving the monarchy, or rewriting it forever?